The best sales professionals are blank. Who wants to take a stab at, unmute yourself, who wants to take a stab at filling in that blank? What do you think the best sales professionals are?
Listeners.
Boom. Who said that? Was that Jacob?
It was.
You got it. You nailed it. You nailed it, right? The best sales professionals are listeners. That's the easy stuff. I'm going to show you right now some ways that we can become better listeners, but I'm also going to explain to you why you should care and why it should be important to you, because it's very easy for us to go, yo, the best sales professionals are listeners. Got it. I've been doing sales for 10 years. Also, the same reason why a lot of us that are in relationships for 10 years, 20 years, however long it is, some of the times that relationship veers off the road a little bit, because here's the thing, okay? When you hear the same story over and over and over and over again, the same way my kids don't laugh at my jokes anymore that I've been telling for 10 years, it's very easy for you to jump right to a prescription, right to a diagnosis, and the other person, they're not there yet, okay? So what's important for us, it's obvious that we need to be better listeners, but the unobvious part, the Matt Easton part, the Easton University part is, it becomes a challenge. And the better at our job we get, the more of a challenge it becomes, because our brains are sharp. We're on Easton University. We're the smartest of the smart when it comes to sales profession, right? And the smarter you are, the easier it is for you. I got that. No, we're not like that. Let me show you the better workaround for that. And we end up not listening, okay? So let me run you through some ways that we can become a better listener. The first one's really obvious. You guys hear this from me all the time. What can I get you information on? Like, listen to that tonality. What can I get you information on? Calm, neutral, just out of curiosity, kind of a nice tonality. What can I get you information on, right? Anytime I'm starting, even if it's an employee of mine or a vendor of mine that walks into my office, hey, great to see you, Rick. What can I get you information on? Right? It centers the conversation on two things. Number one, business, and number two, the business that they want to talk about. When you say, what can I get you information on? Nobody goes, hot enough for you? How about the big game? They focus on what they want to talk about, right? In terms of being a better listener, in terms of focusing on what's going to get the deal closed, in terms about you learning the best stuff that you can learn about that potential client or prospect, where they're at right now, where do they want to go? Here's another great question. What's your biggest reason for blank? If you're in real estate, what's your biggest reason for moving? If you're in software, what's your biggest reason for needing an artificial intelligence-based app that's going to take your physician's notes for them? What's your biggest reason for needing a CPA? Whatever the blank is that you guys provide, before you talk about what you provide and how awesome it is, might be a good idea to ask, what's your biggest reason for blank? We're afraid to ask this in sales because we think the person's going to say, oh, I took an Ambien last night and I filled out a lead request form. I don't need a roofing for my house. But unfortunately, if we're in the roofing business, we just jump right into squares, I guess it is. How many squares do you have? What's the cost, right? What's your biggest reason for needing a new roof? I'm going to have my daughter's wedding at our house in June, okay? And the last thing I need is a shingle flying off and hitting Aunt Betty in the head. I don't know. Find out what that is. The only way you're going to find out what that is to ask them, what's your biggest reason for blank? In terms of being a better listener, something that you don't ask. And if you are, you're not asking it enough. What's most important to you? Right? And then follow that up, because you're on Easton University. What's most important to you? We want to make sure that our people end up using the software. When you say you want to make sure that your people end up using the software, can you give me a specific example? Yes. We signed an 8-year contract with Darksaber, and the people hated it and nobody used it, and we're out $475,000. How are you dealing with that? Look, I just went through 3 really great questions that are going to keep the other person talking. I'm not trying to keep them talking to manipulate them. I want to keep them talking so I can learn what's most important to them, because of the fact that you said what's most important is that people use the software. The reason why that's important You guys had a real difficult iteration there with Darksaber. I get it. I'm with you. The last thing you want is to go through another $500,000 expense only to find out 2 years down the road that everybody's going maverick and generating their own reports. Because of the fact that you said that, I'd like to recommend our blankety blank or blobbity blah. Right? Now you're able to have a more skillful conversation with that person. Let them talk. Follow up with, when you say blank, can you give me a specific example? Right? If you're afraid to ask questions like that, put a label in front of any question you're asking. It will come out a lot more comfortably. That label is just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity, Sam, when you say you've had 3 other contractors come out there and bid on the project and it hasn't gone well, can you give me a specific example of what's going on? And then listen. Why is that? Tell me more, right? Get the other person to talk. Another thing that you should be listening, cue them up with the question, and make sure you listen to the answer. Dave, where are you at right now in terms of blank? Where do you want to be? Where are you at right now in terms of your ability to have your physicians visit patients? How many patient visits can they do per day? Where do you want that to be? Where are you at right now in terms of top line revenue? Where do you want that to be? Where are you at right now in terms of your body mass index? Where do you want that to be? Right? When you ask questions like that, it allows the other person to think. When they think, they're thinking about themselves. We're in the people business. If we don't ask questions like this, it jumps right into a demo or a pitch or a presentation, and we never get the business. Another question that I want you guys to ask, and I want you to listen to the answer, is very early on. You guys know you've been through Easton University or you're on there. If you haven't been through this course, go through the course on objections. There's 8 steps, okay? A very early on step. It's step number 2. What are some of your thoughts? Far too often when we hear an objection, when we hear a complaint, when we think that there's a showstopper, not enough square footage, the price is too high, you're not R246 compliant, you can't get it to me until August. We start jumping around and doing a dance and trying to come up with either one or two things, either a workaround or we try and change their mind as to why that objection's not important. You might not have to do any of that if you just ask this. When you're not available till August, that's a problem. Got it. What are some of your thoughts? Well, I mean, it's not ideal, but I guess we'll have to move some stuff around and we'll go month to month with our current vendor. That's a great idea, right? Welcome aboard. What happens next? Like, people will solve their own problems if you allow them a chance to talk and you truly listen. The odds of them solving their own problem are pretty high. You're never going to get them to solve their own problem if you don't ask them what their thoughts are. Unfortunately, in sales, we think our job is to be the smartest person in the room. We think our job is to have all the answers. It's not. Our job is to have great conversations. Our job is to help that person make a decision. It's easier for people to make decisions when it's based on their reasons. It's easier for them to come up with reasons when we ask them what are their thoughts. They'll find solutions they never even knew they had. Another couple quick ones and then we'll open it up to questions. In terms of being a better listener, dynamite question for you to ask your prospects, your clients, before you jump into any presentation, before you talk about yourself. What research have you done on us? Maybe put it just out of curiosity in front. Just out of curiosity, what research have you done on us? Then they're going to tell you where they're at. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel and come up with a whole new sales pitch. You might not have to do any sales pitch if you ask what research have you done on us. Worked with you guys at my last 3 companies, right? I'm ready to go on the platinum package. Awesome. What happens next? I'll shoot you over the link to get started. Welcome aboard, right? They're never going to tell you that though unless you ask primer questions like what research have you done on us and listen for the answer, okay? A lot of times too, maybe you're at a trade show. Maybe you've got somebody that's accompanying somebody else and they're talking smack. Maybe you're just dealing with somebody that needs a Snickers bar and they're hangry and they start talking about your industry, about your competitors, or dare I say what they think you guys do. Be calm, be cool, be collected when somebody's talking crap about your solution, your type of software, the industry, rates, whatever it is. Maybe throw this question out and listen with these things, your ears, listen to the answer. What do you know about us and how we're different? Oh man, I hate working with general contractors. You guys are the worst. It's just a real problem. We're all set right now. Got it. Just out of curiosity, what do you know about us and how we're different? Right? And listen for the answer. If they don't know anything, now it's going to give you an opportunity to talk. Okay? Make sure you're asking guys questions about what date do you need to implement? What date do you need to move in by? What date do you need to blank? But don't ever ask that question again unless you're going to ask this question afterwards. What makes that date important? And then listen for the answer. Guys, we're so afraid because we're going to hear what we don't want to hear. We're going to hear a date that's too far out or too soon. Well, you might as well be a professional and figure out what date they had in their mind. And then before you start trying to sell them on changing that date or wherever you want to go, ask them, what makes that date important? They might be pulling it out of thin air. They might have a very specific reason. That reason might open you up to learn more things about the situation. You might not even have them on the right product. I don't know, but make sure you guys listen. A great way, the best salespeople are the best listeners. A great way to be a better listener is as somebody is talking, put labels like the tags on your clothes. Put labels on what they're saying. Sounds like this has been a real problem for you. Seems like you guys can't afford to keep going the way that you're going right now. Feels like there's just a ton of pressure on you and your role with the organization. If I asked any one of you guys that question, sounds like, seems like, feels like, in the way that I just asked it, you're probably going to give me more information. When they give you more information, you can listen and you will glide. You'll glide. It won't even be bumpy. You'll glide through your ESP, your Easton sales process. You'll be able to get their attention. You'll be able to deliver an insight. You're going to be able to glide right through their current situation and their ideal state. You're going to be able to glide through monetizing that deal. Then and only then you're going to do a demo and proposal. You're going to do a no pressure close. If the deal doesn't close, you're going to be NSO, next step obsessed, right? And all of this information, the more you listen, the more you can say things like, hey, Mike, because of the fact that you said blank, I'd like to recommend XYZ so you can, right? Guys, it can be a lot easier as long as we listen.